Hello. Um, can you hear me all right? Yeah. Design experiences are everywhere. Think about your day so far. When you wake up, you probably look at your phone, and then design experiences, we start interacting with all of them. And then we go through our day, maybe with payment, maybe we move into digital spaces, how we connect with our friends or family. It's all through design experiences. So how those design experiences come to be? Experience design is a very, very powerful tool. In just a few decades, it has transformed how we interact with products, having smoother interactions, and in general, has impacted our life in many, many ways. So how those design decisions come to be? Now, I had some visuals, but I know not everyone can see it. So I would like to appeal to your imagination powers so I can explain this more properly. When we design an experience, and for the designers around here, probably going to be familiar with this, we start setting up an objective, and then with that objective, it could be increase retention, increase sales, increase more clicks, and then we define a persona. And that persona is a synthesis of the audience. We try to find the right traits that we want, and we put all of that in the persona. So we have the objective, and we have the persona. And then in the gap, we say, well, what kind of experience can we build or design so we can reach those objectives? And then we start thinking of the experience, thinking of the objectives, and there's a loop going on right there. And that loop keeps going and going and going, trying to make constant improvements. And we can almost feel this in real time with some of the apps that we use. We can see constant actualizations or a new version, a new release, and it's always getting better towards some objective. So we have the objective, the design experience, and the persona. But in this game, there's a very important blind spot that nobody's talking about. Now, before going to that blind spot, let me tell you a little story. Last week, we were camping in Nyungwe National Park, a beautiful, beautiful place. And then we stumbled upon a water stream. And then in that water stream, my son intuitively wanted to put a little stick, a wooden stick, and put it in the river. And then, phew, it's gone. And he's been doing that ever since he was a little toddler. So there's something intuitive about water streams that we know that what's gone downstream, it's gone. So we know that the downstream is forever gone, upstream is another thing. But once a water treatment engineer told me that what happens downstream affects upstream. And that sounded very counterintuitively to me. It was very different to what I expected. For me, what's gone downstream is gone. And he told me, no. Whatever you're designing, a water treatment plant, every device you put downstream will have an impact on the devices upstream. So you need to pay attention to the whole thing, otherwise everything collapses. And that got me thinking when we design experiences. Because when we design experiences, we become objective obsessed. And we try to be there, really reaching that objective. But we don't take the time to think what's going on upstream. So what's behind the persona? And you know what's behind the persona? There are actual individuals, like you, like me, who are going through these experiences. But we do not pay attention on how the design experience is actually affecting the individual, affecting us on how we experience things. And I call this gap the experiencer design, because those experiences are designing how are we experiencing things. Now, I've been mentioning the word experience quite a bit now, and I would like to go a little bit deeper into that. And to do so, imagine you're trying to explain to someone what strawberry ice cream tastes like, but this person has never tried strawberry ice cream. So you can show a picture, you can try to describe it, but nothing like actually having the experience of tasting ice cream. So if we're going to be talking about experiences right now, the good news, or what we can do, is that we are having an experience right now. So let's take a scoop into that experience and try to disentangle it a little bit. And to do so, I would like to bring some of the wisdom of Siddhartha Gautama, the historic Buddha. So there's a sutta, there's a quote that I really like, and he says, In the scene, there's only the scene. In the heard, there's only the heard. In the cognized, there's only the cognized. So what does that mean right now? Let's think about it. In the scene, there's only the scene. So if you have a video, and probably this happened to every one of you, you have a video, for whatever reason, the audio is out of sync, and then a spell breaks because you realize that the audio is not coming from the images, it's from the speakers. Because in the scene, there's only the scene. We can try it right now. Just close your ears for a minute and pay attention to what's going on visually and try to make that break in that connection between the sound and the visual. There's only things that are happening right now, but don't connect the sound with that, just the visuals. And then we can change the channel. And let's try the same now with the hearing. If you close your eyes and you only hear, in the heard, there's only the heard. And we experience this all the time when we listen to a podcast or to the radio, and then we finally see how that person looks like. And you're like, whoa, that's very different to what I had in mind. Because in the heard, there's only the heard. So we can try that right now, just listening to things, but don't project images. You may hear the cars on the background, and we tend to imagine the vehicles, but actually we're not seeing them. So it's all only in the heard. And the same is true for the smell, for the taste, for different elements. And the point I want to make is that as we receive input through all of these channels, all of that is integrated in our minds. Our minds made a fantastic job integrating this into a one integrated experience. So you see me talking, you hear my words, and all of that is one experience right now, thanks to our minds. Now, the tricky part of this is that what we experience affects how our minds integrate things, and then when that happens, also affects what we experience. So everything goes in this feedback loop, that what we're experiencing affects us as experiencers, and the same way that continues going. So if we bring back this to the design experience, if we have the objective, if we have the design experience and the persona, and then we look upstream, we can see that this has a profound impact because, again, the design experiences are designing us as experiencers. They are designing how we experience life. And because we have that blind spot, there's a big vacuum right there. And you know what happens with vacuums. Vacuums tend to be filled by something else. So if we don't pay attention to that, something is going to fill that vacuum. It's going to be incentives, it's going to be algorithms, or it's going to be simply defaults. So what should we do about this dynamic? And there are three things I would like to suggest. First of all, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this blind spot, and let's see how we need to pay attention to the experiencer design dynamic. Second, for all the designers out there, I have tremendous conversations early on with builders and designers. For all the designers out there, let's really think about that. Let's not just be objective focused, but let's see how what we are creating, what's the lasting impact it's having on people, particularly if the experiences we are designing are intended to be used repeatedly. And then thirdly, for us as the consumers or the ones experiencing things, what I would like to say is, let's be aware of the dynamic. Sometimes we jump from design experience to the next experience to the next experience without leaving a gap. And what I'd like to invite you to do is to be conscious about how those experiences are making you feel. After you're going through some dumb scrolling, do you feel energized or you feel saturated? Or if you do some of the other design experiences, how are you feeling after the fact? So simply just taking 3 seconds to breathe and to say, how am I feeling? And that can make us better experiencers. Because, for those 3 things, and imagine a future where those 3 things happen. For the first one, yeah, we can start talking about that, and hopefully that's going to be a case. Secondly, we can hope for the designers to actually start paying attention to this dynamic. But the great news is that we can start being aware of the dynamic as experiencers right now. Because given all the experiences that are out there, all the design experiences, and considering that design experiences are influencing how we experience this, I think we need to have an active role in this dynamic. Because for me, the only person who should be designing how you experience life, how you experience the reality around you, should be you. So the only person designing you as an experiencer, that should be you. Thank you so much.